Okay, now let's manipulate some text. When you want to concatenate strings, meaning combining different characters into a text, there's a lot of different ways to do this in R. The most convenient package is the glue package and the command glue, which is a part of the tidyverse. And the nice thing about glue is that it allows you to combine text and variables, like variables you've stored in your code, by using the curly brackets. So what you could do, for example, is you can create a text that combines a text, like here the month is, and then uses this month as a placeholder, and then it creates this for each observation with the corresponding month for that observation. So let's say we have two variables with month and year, and then we would like to create a new variable, say month. This has a text, the month is, and afterwards it includes the month variable into the text. So it will give us the month is January, the month is February, the month is March, and each time it takes the corresponding month from the month column. In a similar style, we can also just combine different variables in a text here. So we can combine the month and the year variable inside curly brackets and wrap this in columns. And then the glue command will just take, for each observation, it will take the month, it will take the year, and create a string variable that combines these two. And here we create a new column month year, short mo.yr, which here will be January 2017, February 2018, March 2019. So let's look at a different example where we combine glue with a loop. What we do here is we have a vector numbers, and each iteration we assign I a value from this vector, and then we just print the magic number is I, and then in the first iteration, since I is going to be 1, we'll print the magic number is 1, second iteration magic number is 2, and the magic number is 3 in the third iteration. And again, the glue command here allows us to do this replacement of I inside the text directly. You will often also want to extract certain information from strings. So if your data, for example, if you're web scraping data, oftentimes your data just comes as a longer text and you would like to take certain parts out of it or delete certain parts. And the stringer package from the tidyverse gives you the function string extract and string replace. And what string extract does is you provide it with a string object, which is going to be a longer text, and then you tell it which pattern that it should find. So for example, you have a longer text, and inside somewhere you have a year variable. Like somewhere in this longer text, it says in which year this observation was observed. And then you just say match the year and give me back the year from the text. If you want to replace something, you can, for example, say that you want to find the date in a text and replace it with another version of the date or so. Or you could find a certain special character like a comma and replace it with a decimal point. By default, these two commands only go until they have the first match and then execute the replacement or the extraction that we want. If you want to replace everything that matches or extract everything that matches the pattern, you just use string extract or string replace and append all to the command. And this will just extend the function by just extracting everything that matches or replacing everything that matches. So let's look at an example now. We have this variable location, and here it has this, it is assigned the text Stockholm, 2020, and we want to have just the year from this variable separately. So what we do is we say string extract, take the location, and then this here is a so-called regular expression, and this is a code that says just extract, just match anything in this string that is a number of an arbitrary length, or a combination of digits of an arbitrary length. And here, this combination will be 2020. So this command here will just extract the string 2020 and assign it to year. Then after we have extracted this, we would like to get rid of the comma, the space, and the year, and just have Stockholm, because that's the actual location. So what we do is we say string replace, take the location, match everything that is a comma, a space, followed by a number. This would also be generally true for if it would be Stockholm 1999 or so. And then take this comma, space, and the number and replace it with an empty string, which means that just get rid of it. And the location will then just save a string that contains Stockholm. If you have strings that just have empty spaces at the end or at the beginning, you can use the trim function, or string trim, and just tell it, should you trim all the spaces from the left, or the spaces from the right, or from both sides. So as I already mentioned, to match a certain pattern, you need to write this as a so-called regular expression. And regular expressions they come up all the time in all programming languages, or also in command lines if you're executing commands directly there. There's a lot of resources online if you need more help with regular expressions, and I will just give you a short introduction today. So let me just quickly go back. So what I'm talking now is about how can we find a certain pattern when we want to extract it. So how can we find, for example, if we don't know what the year is in the text, how can we write this in a general way that in every text we will find a year variable and extract the correct one? And especially this is important, let's say if there's different numbers in this text, let's say the numbers contains an income and also contains a year variable, then we need to know how can we write the year variable in a way that, or how can we write this pattern in a general way that would recognize which part is a year and only extract this and not extract also the income. So, for example, let's say if you just want to have a pattern that is one of several objects, we can, for example, say we want to have match anything that is either A, B, or C, then we just write inside the quotations in the pattern to match, we write square brackets, A, B, C, and close the square brackets. If we want to match something from a range of values, let's say we want to have anything that is a lowercase letter, we just type square brackets and then A to C, or anything that is a digit, square brackets 0 to 9. If we already know like what could be in there, like we know that the year variable is going to be either 2017 or 2018, we can just say either, we can say 2017 or, using the or operator, 2018. And this will just match either of the two. You can also write these as abbreviations in either digit for numbers, alpha for letters, or punct for any kind of punctuation like colon, semicolon, decimals or so. Very important is also that if you just write a dot, like the period symbol, this will just match anything. It will just, it's often used if you say a certain pattern followed by whatever comes afterwards, then you'll just write the period. If you don't know the length of the object that you want to match, let's say you want to have you want to find the income in text, but the income can of course be like a really large number or just a smaller number. You don't know how many digits the income variable is going to have, but you know that it's going to be a number. So you can, for example, say that if it's just going to be one number, one digit, then you type square brackets 0 to 9, and it will just match any part of the string that is exactly one number. If you type square brackets 0 to 9 plus, this will match any part of the string that is one number or more. And for income, that would be, for example, useful because if people have either from $1 to millions of dollars of income, this will match any income variable. If you know that it's going to be, for example, a year variable, you know that's going to have exactly 4 digits, you can write 0 to 9 followed by 4 in the curly brackets, and then we'll match any part of the string that is exactly composed of 4 numbers. And if you write curly brackets 0 to 9 with the asterisk, it will just match anything that is composed of 0 or any number of digits. So to give some examples, let's look at this vector messy variable. It is a vector. It contains numbers of different lengths. It contains 1, 1987, 2006, 2010, and then 307. So if you just match any pattern that is composed of exactly 1, and since we say string extract and not string extract all, it will just match the first element that is exactly 1 number. So we return 1 here, 2, 2, 3, and 2. It will always just take the first element of each of the elements in the vector. If we say match any object, like any number of arbitrary length in terms of digits, it will just, for each of them, return the full number. If we say only match numbers that have exactly 4, the first one does not have 4, so it will not match anything. And then for the next 3 observations, it will match the entire one. The fourth one has too few digits, it will not match, and the last one will also again match the entire one. When you have special characters, you need to specify. You need specifically tell R that this is going to be a special character, and the way you do this is by using the escape symbol, which is the backward slash. And the problem with special characters is that if you do not say that these are special characters, R will understand them as a different function. So, for example, if you have curly brackets in your text and you want to find specifically curly brackets in the text, we have seen earlier that curly brackets in blue are, for example, used to include variables. So R will not know, do you now want to include a variable? And it will think that you maybe didn't fully supply the entire variable that you want to include, instead of actually looking for curly brackets in the text. So the way to achieve this is to use this escape symbol followed by this special character that you want to have actually included in the text as the character and not as a special operation. So for example, here you would like to have this quote, and the first, like if you would just type the quote with 2 quotation marks, this would obviously not work because R would think that the quote is just like an empty string. It does not know that you want to have the quote saved with extra quotation marks around it. So what you do is you start your string with quotes, and then you type the escape symbol followed by the special character. In this case, this is the quote, and then R will understand that you want to have this entire string starting with quotes and ending with quotes here, and these should not, the string does not end here, but rather here when you actually write the quotes without the escape symbol. And then when you print this, you can see that the quotes appear here and also at the end of the quote, because this is where we specified it with the escape symbol. And in the assignment, you will also need to use this because you will have to filter for special characters like the percentage sign or the OR operator, and you will need the escape symbol, because otherwise R will misunderstand the OR symbol as an actual, you want to execute an OR operation, whereas you want to filter for the character OR. There's also a more complicated string matching that you can do if you want to have, for example, return value that followed by a certain pattern or that are preceded by a certain pattern. So let's say you would like to have returned the pattern X that is preceded by the pattern Y, or you would like to have the pattern X returned that is followed by the pattern Y. And pattern Y here could be, for example, a piece of text or a special character. Let's say you want to have a new monetary value, then you can say you want to have the monetary value that follows a dollar sign or so. And let's look at an example. So what we do is here we have this price information, and it says the price is $5. And you would like to have anything that is preceded by the price is and a space. And we would like, since we type period plus, this means just return everything that follows the price is. They will return $5. If we type period plus and then the pattern that tells us match anything that precedes space and dollars, it will just take the price is 5, because this is what precedes this pattern, space and dollars. So this is something where you clearly just need to play around with a little bit when you see the need for a certain pattern matching to get an idea how this exactly works.